So yesterday we looked into the the dealing on the pain, or looking especially on the misunderstanding or misconception of the pain. Now, a number of these misconceptions, while we are doing it, or even before we are noting the pain, for example, like we try to note them and to make the pain go away, or we try to note it from far away, or we just tolerate the pain without observing the true nature of the pain, or trying to use metta or karuna on the pain. The thing is that when we clear this misconception, then when we pay attention to the pain, we notice it fully, clearly, and see its true characteristics. So by seeing its characteristics, we see how the pain, what type of pain, and how the pain changes, how they grow. So when we note this pain, sometimes we come to a limit where the anger or or thoughts, thinking starts coming in. Then by noticing our the thinking mind, that mind that wants to run away or get up from the pain, if you're able to notice them, if you're able to notice the aversion, sometimes when the aversion settles, the mind can stay with the pain. Now, if you really cannot, then we shift the leg one time, so that we can. We try that as a last resort to shift the leg. Other than that, as best as possible, try not to shift the leg. Now, this is somewhere we stopped here yesterday. Yeah? Now, noticing this pain. Yeah? Noticing this pain, it can be quite challenging. They are very challenging object for the yogis. Yeah? Sometimes this pain come in for a number of days. Sometimes it kind of like disappear for a while. Sometimes yogi thought that this retreat, if they have a lot of pain, they try to note this as much pain as possible. Maybe in the next retreat, they pay their karma already, and then next time don't have so much pain. As long as you have this body, there will always be this physical pain. You see, this physical pain, even the Buddha is not free from it. But it's the mental unpleasant feeling that is where the Buddha or the Arhants are free from it. Now, when we take this pain, especially if we go for a long retreat, say for example, you want to go for 3 months retreat now. You see, because sometimes when you note this pain, this difficult pain, once in a while, if we overdo on this sitting or this pain, sometimes it creates from a meditation pain to become a physical pain. While we are doing this practice, we can divide them as a meditation pain or a physical pain. In the sense of physical here, as if like there's a physical injury that's more permanent, whether you get up, you sit down, you lie down, you get out, you come back again next time, the pain's something like that. Now this, you see, meditation pain is that when you do the sitting, after that when you get up, just rub a little bit here and there, then you're quite okay. You can do the walking. You're not carrying the pain throughout the whole day. So when we do this meditation, as best as possible, try not to overdo on the pain. Especially, we want to sit longer and longer. Sometimes pain arises in a same spot from sitting after sitting. And then some people, when they sit, that pain is strong, they focus on it, they pay attention to it, but they stay on it for the whole hour or 2 hours or 3 hours. Now, after a few sittings, then they sit for long period, then sometimes it can begin to create a lot of physical pain that they have to carry throughout the whole day and day after day. Not that you cannot meditate, you still can meditate, but it's a bit challenging when the pain is always there. Now, on a further development on this type of pain, when you note this pain for too long, because the object is very strong, you try to pay attention to it, or the attention is more or less magnetized or captured onto the object or the pain here. Now, because of that, sometimes the faculties of the noting, the faculties of the mind can somehow become imbalanced. The object is strong. You keep noticing it again and again and again and again. Sometimes for some yogis, after noticing the pain, they try hard, but coming out from it, the whole mind is going to restless mind. Because during that time, they are putting a lot of effort, mental effort, into noting, and then that mental effort becomes too much. Then it goes into a lot of restless mind. On other types of yogi, another type of yogi, they take the same pain, this type of pain, pulling or heart pain. When they pay attention to it, some yogis, the mind become over-concentrated on it. And then after that, the pain still there, but nothing much changing. Then when it's not much changing, the pain is just there, the mind just hold there, just there. And this is where the over-concentration starts coming in. When the mind is in balance, the noting mind is in balance, or the noting mind is in optimum form. Is it the optimum level? That means that when you pay attention to the pain or any object, it shows its characteristics, it shows changes, it will show you the activities of what is going on. That means the mind is in a balance right now. Now this is something on the pain, and perhaps that slightly on the balancing part, maybe we'll talk about it next week.
Questo riguardava ancora il dolore, riguardo invece a questo bilanciamento di queste facoltà, magari ne parliamo settimana prossima.
Because you see, when I look at a yogi's development, when you're able to do this meditation, that means walking, sitting, daily activities, that one you have to, in a way, master them. But in another way of how I look at it is that the yogis must know how to develop these mental qualities, or the development part. So the development part here, it consists of how you do your sitting meditation, how do you do your walking meditation, how you do your daily activities, how do you notice your secondary objects, standing, walking, everything. Development. The second one, the yogi also must able to master, is dealing with the hindrances, all the 5 hindrances. Here the 5 hindrances, the sensual desire, the ill will, the sloth and torpor, the restless mind and worry, and the skeptical doubt. When they come in, they come in so many different forms. Again here, the yogi must know how to deal with those objects, deal with them, recognize them. At the same time, you must learn to overcome them. Sometimes in other retreats, longer retreat, when I got the time, I talk about the 5 hindrances. And it can sometimes go up to like 10 talks without translation. And then you have to stay for another 2 more weeks here. Because it's a big topic. It looks simple, but dealing with it is that to deal with these hindrances, but this is where your development part will be very important for you. Because on these hindrances or these defilements, I also have seen yogis, when they are attacked by all these hindrances, they do not know how to deal with it. After that, they give up on this practice. Or even the first part on the development side, if the yogi doesn't know how to do the walking, how to do the sitting, then the development doesn't come in. After a while, the yogi also will give up, because there's nothing much to see, there's nothing much to develop. Now the third aspect is the balancing part of it. The whole mind is to able to balance, so that the mind is able to consistently keep going forward. Balance means that When your mind, your faculties are in balance, means that when you're noting mind, notice an object, all the objects are clear to you. Rising and falling is moving, pain is this way, sitting, touching is this way, you can notice its characteristic. That means your mind is in a balanced state right now. Sometimes, if the yogi doesn't know how to balance, things are already clear, but they keep pushing and pushing until things become not clear. In the olden days, when the TV, the TV view, when you want to choose the channel, you want to tune the channel connecting from the antenna outside, you have to keep tuning until the picture is clear, from a snowy, and then you tune, then picture, that means you get the right frequency, then you're able to see those picture. But if you over-tune, then you go back into snowy again. I'm not sure whether the younger yogis know what I'm talking or not. Anyway, here, when the balance is not balanced, that means you have overdo the concentration, or you overdo the effort. Then here is that what are the technique to recognize them and to bring them into balance again. We did talk about it a little bit here and there, actually, also during the pain, when we talk about the mind is the mind that you try to over push. Yesterday when I talked about the pain is clear, but you try to push it further. That means you try to look further, deeper inside, but you forget that the faculties with the noting mind can go into imbalance. So that also is another big topic. You see, again, to me it is important, because also I've seen yogis, they practice, they make the effort and they can develop somehow, but come to the imbalance part, they do not know what to do, and every time they get stuck there. Now when you overdo this thing, like for example you over push and you're overzealous and you keep trying very hard, like for example like the walking, they don't start off with the one face, they start straight away, everything is super slow for every walking, then the whole body becomes tense up. Here the tension comes because of the mental over energetic, or sometimes over concentration. It creates a lot of this tension, and this tension sometimes it lasts for a long period of time. As I said, I think I mentioned it about the beginning of the retreat, that sometimes yogis, when they have this, you keep coming to a retreat, you go back with tension, coming to a retreat, go back with tension, then finally they give up on the practice. But all this dealing with these hindrances of balancing, very much depending on how you do your development. To me, if that you know how to do this development, walking, sitting, noting the pain correctly, secondary objects and all these things, if you know how to do it, I know in time the result will come in. So when we say result coming in, so what do we mean by that? Some says insight. The word insight is coming in. But what is insight again? All this insight is all about rising, falling, sitting, touching, pressure, hardness, softness, changing and all that. Those are insights. Then it can go even further from there. So if we develop all this insight, for what purpose? So let's say you come to this retreat and you learn something, you develop something, you become more mindful and so on. So what? So after that, it makes you a happier person, let's say. Perhaps after meditation for some retreats, perhaps your anxiety is less, your depression is less, all your mental problem is less. In a way, you become a happier person. Then you become a better person, then you don't come back retreat anymore. Because you're happy already. What for come back? But this is not what the Buddha thought. This is you think what is good for you. You see, the Buddha thought it's like finally this Satipatthana Vipassanā is to finally to get you out of this cycle of birth and rebirth. If you become a happier person, right, this life, again, anger can still come back. Again, the desire still come back when the situation or when the condition is right. Even you reborn in a more happier life, and yet the defilements or the karma still follow you. Even you see sometimes people are doing a lot of good deeds and all that thing, but somehow they end up with sometimes with cancer, with some sickness, with this and that. If you, let's say you use this Vipassana and you overcome your anxiety, and let's say you completely 100% overcome it, do you think that that anxiety will not come back? A lot of our understanding and so on, when we deal with these mental problems or mental health, we are dealing mostly on the surface. There's another part here. It's very difficult for us to penetrate unless we have the mindfulness to deal with this one. Understanding of this, the teachings of the Buddha, or the ultimate goal of this way, is that when we get out of this cycle of birth and rebirth, is that you are free from all forms of suffering. And all this suffering is fueled by all our defilements. Our birth and rebirth is caused because of this anger, this desire, this craving, this attachment, and so on. So finally is that we have to eradicate these defilements so that the rebirth and rebirth again and again will come to an end. So in another word, it says that we realize the Nibbana or enlightenment. Now, you see, this is the ultimate goal. Now, if you come for this Vipassana retreat, if your goal is just for happiness in this worldly life, when the challenges arises, like strong pain, difficulty arises, when you cannot achieve what you want for the worldly life, very fast you're going to give up on this Vipassana meditation. One of this understanding, of course you need to have certain teachings of the Buddha to understand why is it that this enlightenment or this stopping this cycle of birth and rebirth is really important. Therefore, when you have clear understanding, then when you do the Vipassana meditation, then you can have the whole dedication, the whole force towards achieving that goal. In Satipatthana Sutta, that the Buddha mentioned about how to do this type of practice. To summarize it, there's only three main things is mentioned. The first one, in the Satipatthana, the Buddha says that it tells you what is the real goal for the whole development of this Vipassana meditation, or Satipatthana Vipassana meditation. The second one, it tells you how the mind should be developed for the purpose of this Vipassana meditation. That means the mind must be energetic, the mind must be mindful, the mind must be concentrated, the mind must be able to discern all these objects. And then the third one is the right objects, the four right objects. So the noting mind, the strong, clear noting mind onto the object for the purpose of that goal. Now when we have that goal clear, then the mind is sharp enough, the mind is having that push, that determination to really go forward. Then the the push towards it, it will going to take you perhaps the whole lifetime. In the meantime, there's a lot of changes also in our behavior, in our action, in our speech, so that for the purpose of that goal. So understanding of this area, again here, it takes a lot of discussion and understanding in order to have that basic understanding of the Dhamma actually. But of course, we don't have the time to go into all these things. Again, here we bring it back, come back to the Vipassana part. And Vipassana part is one part of everything. There's also like Sila, morality, there's a lot of understanding of the teachings, and so many other areas are also important. Anyway, back again, talking about the progress or the development of the this Vipassana. Just now we talked about the result. The result here is the sensation that you're able to notice, like hardness, softness, the changes and everything. These are all progress in a way. To you all, sometimes progress is measured with your 16 insight knowledge. But to me, this 16 insight knowledge, again here, is theoretical. And while what you experience and so on, sometimes you don't even know what insight you are in. As long as, to me, as long as you're still able to note your object clearly, precisely, in a balanced manner, that means progress is still going on. Sometimes, for example, if you ask me to drive, let's say, from here to Rome, I'm going to go through a lot of the towns and I don't even know their names. But I know that if I keep on going in that road, I will reach Rome. Perhaps along the way, I may see this city got this characteristic, that town got that type of characteristic. Yeah? So here, insight, the development of insight, also something similar like that. Even you do not understand the 16 insight knowledge and everything, but as long as you keep noting, keep paying attention to all these things, sooner or later the progress will keep going and going and going. If you have the right objects to take up, you have the right mind, and you have the right goal, when these things are together, the path is only one way. Since we talk about this progress in that sense, now I'm going to look at it in slightly another way. We'll look into the characteristics of progress. And the characteristic of the progress dependent upon how the object is being noted. Because the characteristic of the object is the one that actually brings you also to the progress in a way. Objects of the mind and body. The objects of the mind and body is any object. You can take any single object of this mind and body. They are divided into 3 types of characteristic. These 3 characteristics is inherent. Any objects of this mind and bodily process, or mind, or these objects of 4 foundation of mindfulness. These 3 characteristics is where your insights are. The name of different insight lies within these 3 different characteristics. The first characteristic is what we call individual characteristics. The second characteristic is the triple characteristic of beginning, middle, ending. The third characteristic is the universal characteristic that consists of arising and passing away, moment to moment. The word individual characteristic, or individual characteristic, what it means that each individual object, they have different characteristics compared to one to another. So, you take for example the fire element, or warm or cold, compared to a wind element which is moving. When you pay attention to the heat, or something that's warm, then its characteristic is like that. If you pay attention to the wind element, then the characteristic is motion in that way. So too, when we note the states of mind, when you are mindful, when you are alert, the state of mind is this way. If when you are angry mind, then it's this way. It's different. You know, in the Abhidhamma, when they describe this characteristic of an object, they describe them into 4 types. You have this nature, you have functionality, you have the what is the word? But doesn't matter. Manifestation, and then there's another
Causa.
one.
Cause.
Proximate cause of it. Yeah. For us to see this characteristic, therefore, the mind must have that ability, the discerning ability to separate out different characteristics as we go on into this walking, sitting, daily activities. You see, to enter into Vipassanā, you cannot simply, just because you read the books, you read that there's arising and passing away, and then this arising and passing away is something very deep, and then when you start doing a meditation, you want straight away go into the arising and passing away. So you cannot enter as you like, just because you read it in this way and you do it as you like. If you're not guided, just because sometimes we met with yogis who are very over smart, and then they think that they can just do anything they like. Even at one time, many years ago, I've met this one monk. He said he wanted to see this arising and passing away. So what he did is that he closed his eyes, he put his attention in rising and falling, then he says, arising and passing away, arising and passing away, arising and passing away, arising and passing away. Just because he wants to see that arising and passing away. When you're not ready, it will not show you yet. That means when we go into this Vipassana, first of all, we have to discern the characteristic carefully. Because you see, even in the interviews, in the Dhamma talk, my job is to make sure that, did you notice this sensation? Did you notice that one? How is this one? How is that one? Because I want you to make sure you're able to distinguish this one and this one is different, this one and this one is different, one to another. That means you're able to distinguish out this characteristic. Again and again, your job is to able to discern this characteristic. You come in retreat, you do this walking, you do this sitting, you do these daily activities, is to put in the effort to able to keep doing it again and again and again and again until you fed up, you do it again. Because when you look into these characteristics of the body and mind, you begin to actually able to distinguish their different nature and how they are behaving, how is their pattern, how they are changing. Take, for example, the rising and falling. Now you take this rising and falling and you pay attention to how it is moving, whether it's long, whether it's short, whether it's fast, whether it's slow. Now each moment of it rise and each moment it falls, they are different in a way. Sometimes they look the same. Sometimes one is longer, one is shorter. Sometimes the rising and falling is that one can go faster and one can go slower. Sometimes it's that small, it's just up and down, up and down, up and down. Sometimes it comes this rising and falling, sometimes it comes as if the pattern is as if it's twisting inside there. Or sometimes it's as if something is going into turning. Or sometimes you feel that this rising and falling is going the sideways. Then sometimes if your concept of your thinking, your analysis starts coming in, how could the stomach go sideways? How could the breathing go sideways? You open up the eyes, now it still go here, but when you close the eyes, it feels like it just go at the left or the right. So here is that you have to notice their characteristic, however it comes, in whatever way the movement taking place. Sometimes when you notice this movement of this rising and falling, once in a while you start to notice the heartbeat also start coming in together with the rising and falling. Initially, sometimes you feel as if this heartbeat is kind of on top of the rising and falling, as if like it's blocking the view of the rising and falling. Then when you notice this, sometimes this beating of the heart, sometimes it becomes like a little bit faster or a little bit stronger. So sometimes it beats faster. Then you notice your in-breath, out-breath. No, the in-breath, out-breath didn't go any more faster. It's quite slow, it's quite gentle. But how come the heart is beating faster? Then the yogi not sure. He put the hand here, try to feel the beating of the heart. No, the beating of the heart is also not that fast, but how come I feel that something is beating faster? Or sometimes some yogis I've also known, they put the 2 finger at the wrist here just to feel, is it that I'm noting actually the heartbeat? And this type of things, when you begin to notice these things, is actually you begin to slowly go into the nature of consciousness. Then when you're able to differentiate actual heartbeat and the consciousness, sometimes they have 2 different beating. Sometimes because of that, when they notice this rising and falling, then begin to notice also the mind that pays attention on the rising and falling. Therefore, you can able to distinguish the movement of the rising and falling. Also at the same time, you can distinguish the mind that knows the rising and falling. Because of your power of your discerning mind, that you can able to distinguish the different characteristics on the body. Now you also, because of that training, you also begin to distinguish the different characteristics of the mind. Even sometimes when you do the walking, lifting, pushing, dropping, although they are clear, but you know that there's an observer, that mind that is observing the whole process, as if like something is out there observing the whole movement. Or even like when you're noticing your pain, the strong pain that arises during this time, although you notice the pain fully, but also you begin to notice the mind that pays attention to the pain. That the mind that pays attention also become as prominent as the pain. Because here again, because of that discerning mind, it can able to distinguish out not just only different type of pain, it can distinguish out the pain and the mind itself. Some of you already have that too when you are doing your walking, and some during in the interview also I heard of some things are happening. Sometimes when you do walking, some of you are reporting something like this. When I notice this lifting, pushing, dropping, although I can notice what is going on here, and yet I can feel that there's a little chatter in the mind, there's a little thoughts that's passing through, but it doesn't truly fully disturb that. I can still able to notice, and yet I can still notice that thought that is passing through. I'm not sure what I'm thinking, but I know there's thinking there. So next time when that thing happen, that little chatter happen, your job is not to try to make the whole walking perfect without thinking. That means next time if the chatter happen, that little thoughts are happening, you learn to accept them also. So sometimes when you keep noticing this way, and you're able to notice your sensation, they are very clear. When that chattering or that little thoughts, when it starts to disappear, then that time the mind that knows the pain, that knows the object, that knows the walking, become clear. So in this way, when you notice this, then the mind able to distinguish. Even during the sitting, you can differentiate. This is the mind that knows it, knows the object, or whether in the walking, or whether in the daily activities. So with this, able to observe all these things, that means you begin to open up. You begin to open up the door into Vipassanā. So this is the first step, or what we call the first insight for the enlightenment or for the stopping of this cycle of birth and rebirth. So your job, make sure that you keep on distinguish. Every retreat you come in, you keep on distinguish this object again and again, because further after that, there are more things. All the other deeper characteristics will start to manifest. When the mind can able to distinguish between these characteristics of the body and also the mind itself, or the other, and you can differentiate them out. This is what we call the first insight knowledge. The name of the knowledge is called the knowledge of discerning of mind and body. Don't worry about the name too much. What is important, as I said, is how you pay attention to it. As you keep noticing, you will definitely pass through, as long as you don't stop. Tomorrow we'll continue this on the other characteristics and see how they develop from the first characteristics.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.